think Nintendo did after their stock price recently hit an all-time high just a couple of weeks ago in August of this year? That's right, folks, they just fired hundreds of their experienced workers in the United States just to hire less qualified replacements. And I wish I were kidding, but it actually gets so much worse. Oh my god, Nintendo, why? But great news, guess who's going to be feeling the negative impacts of this? Is it Nintendo themselves, or maybe it's their business partners? Nope, it's us, the gamers, and well, of course, those who were directly affected, and we'll talk about them a bit later, but my sympathies go out to everyone who lost their job here because this really sucks. Fans who recently got a Switch 2 or those who are planning to get one this holiday season may be the first to feel the negative impact of this decision, but this whole situation is complex, so today we'll dive deep to figure out exactly what's going on, what happened, but first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, I want to take a moment to actually just thank you guys because the support on some of my recent videos has been truly insane, so thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me, especially everyone who's used the new hype feature. That really helps out small channels like mine a lot, so thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's jump right in here. IGN was the first to break this story, saying Nintendo customer support concern following outsourcing decision ahead of Switch 2's first holiday season. Impacted workers say they feel betrayed after years of service. Now, I'm going to be relying pretty heavily on IGN here, so if you guys actually just want to check out this article yourself and read it, I'm going to link it in the description below. So if you don't care about my insight or my input or opinions or anything, you can read it down below, but before you go, at least drop a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel. Nintendo of America has made the decision to outsource its customer support services, resulting in hundreds of contractors losing their jobs amid concerns Nintendo's customer support will suffer as the Nintendo Switch 2 enters its first holiday season. IGN spoke to multiple sources impacted by the decision, who spoke to us on condition of anonymity due to fear of reprisal. All of them painted a picture of a formally rigorous structure for training and maintaining customer support services in the United States that was suffering significantly due to language barriers, poor communication, and Nintendo's overall decision making on how to handle the transition from US based support to outsourced support from South America. So basically what happened here is that these contracted workers in the United States have been doing support for Nintendo of America customers, and Nintendo is actually relocating those jobs to South America, and the transition that's happening right now is apparently really sloppy and it gets kind of bad. We'll talk about it later, but sources say that historically Nintendo of America has contracted with primarily two US based agencies to fill roles in back office customer support. That includes, according to one source I spoke to and verified by others, that these US based agencies covered things such as back office teams, the fraud department, their financials, the chargeback team, customer services, the chat log team, customer phone and email support, those responsible for issuing refunds to customers, account bans, remote data transfers, repair support for customers, everything customer support. There are a few people remaining on site overseeing it, but essentially it's all going away. All of that comes from the source that IGN had contacted. They go on to say, though the people in these roles were contract employees, that's important, we'll talk about that in a second, those we spoke to say that many workers had been there for years. In order to skirt laws that would have required them to hire full-time workers, Nintendo of America would contract them for 11 months at a time. This is a mega corporation loophole, and we are living in employment hell, everybody. At the end of the contract, they would be let go for 2 months, during which they could draw unemployment before having their contract consistently renewed, often at a higher pay rate each time. Oh, see, that's where they messed up. You know what I mean? They asking for too much money, and Nintendo eventually got sick of it. Contractors received some health benefits through the agency, with the only Nintendo provided benefits being occasional free or discounted games. Oh my god, Nintendo couldn't even give them more than just a free copy of a game every once in a while. Bro, that's honestly a little bit insulting. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, man, hey, thanks for working for us for years. Here's 20% off the latest Mario game that we haven't ever lowered the price for, even though it's 8 years old. Like, oh my god. One contractor said, quote, "Everyone that I have worked with has worked there for years." Okay, so the picture that's being painted here by this contractor is like, look, yes, technically we were contract workers, but everyone I know has been working here for years. We're all paid well, we get benefits, and like, this is our job. We just so happen to be contracted to kind of exploit this little employment loophole, right? So as a result, IGN understands that many of these contractors were highly skilled and experienced, specifically in working with Nintendo of America's systems and procedures. However, in March, so that's March of 2025, workers were told that their contracts were being cut to be phased out entirely this month in September of 2025. Those I spoke to were unsure of the total number of individuals impacted, but estimated in the ballpark of 200 workers total. Contractors were informed through their respective agencies. Sources tell me contractors never received any direct communication from Nintendo of America on this subject. Quote, not a thank you, not an I'm sorry, nothing, end quote, said one contractor. Because they are contract employees, they do not receive severance pay, even if their contracts are ending early. That's actually insane. There's no clause in their contract for an early termination. That sounds really predatory, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm just a goofball on the internet, so I am not in any way, shape, or form an authority figure on this subject, okay? So that might be standard practice for this industry to just like, hey, sometimes we'll cut you early and then you just get nothing, GG, right? Like I can assume that these companies are probably little slime balls and they just want to get away with giving employees or ex-employees as little as they can, and I should say contract workers, not employees. And I'm gonna be honest, you guys, I'm kind of surprised that I haven't seen more people talking about this, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, over the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen huge layoffs at big tech companies, especially from like Microsoft, for example. And so when we look at 200 contract workers, it's like, okay, that doesn't sound like it's that much. And like realistically, you know, Nintendo's a mega international corporation. It's really not that much, but like it's still 200 American people. It's not just a number. These are like real people that aren't going to be able to potentially make a payment in the coming months, right? Like this impacts real American people's ability to put food on the table. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a number, and that's something that we have to remember. Like the job market right now really sucks, and unemployment data is not looking great in the United States. So to be laid off right now really is really not great, especially because they were contractors and aren't going to be getting any sort of severance pay. But remember earlier when I said it gets even worse? Here's what IGN goes on to say. Contractors whose contracts run through September are still working their usual jobs, but with a new duty added. They now have to help to train their replacements. Oh my God. I don't think I would do it. I mean, I guess obviously you need the money, so you kind of can't just leave early, right? But like, that's so awful. It's just salt in the wound. Like, hey, we're cutting your job. We are literally getting rid of you, throwing you out the door right in the trash. But before you go, help us train the new people that are taking your job from you. It's a slap in the face. They just spit in their face. It's actually horrible. Okay, those we spoke to shared that Nintendo of America appears to have cut contracts in the United States only to outsource the jobs to workers in South America, primarily Brazil, but also other countries such as Argentina and Nicaragua. While Nintendo of America has previously employed support staff in these countries, in the past they were limited to first line contacts, so the first person that picks up the phone, right? These people would then pass on information to departments in the United States for cases to be handled in full. So if it's just like a super quick one and done thing, maybe they can do it, right? But they would mainly be just transferring everything over to the United States because those contract workers were more highly skilled, or they had just been working for a lot more time there and just had the experience to handle these issues, right? But now these workers are more fully taking on customer support cases. While they are receiving assistance from the US workers, those I spoke to say this process has been challenging and frustrating for everyone involved, and there are concerns that customer support quality will suffer long term. I mean, we see this all the time. This is nothing new, right? Having customer support be outsourced to another country that pays their employees a lot less money, this is a practice that's been going on for, 30 plus years at this point, right? And you and I both know this. A lot of times you do get good experience from these support staff that are in other countries, but you also sometimes get really bad support staff, right? Like, I mean, it's happened to me calling Verizon or contacting YouTube support or whoever. Like sometimes someone with an accent answers answers and they're so nice and they're so helpful and they get the job done, and then sometimes you answer the phone and it sounds like they're in a room full of 500 people and you're like, you can barely even hear them over the clacking of their computer, and it's like, it's awful, right? So I think that the concern here is very real, going from a support staff that's in the United States to a support staff that is outside the United States. I think lots of people might be concerned about that. For one, US contractors tell IGN that Nintendo of America has previously had rigorous standards it held customer support workers to. However, they say those standards seem to be different or less rigorous for the new hires, and the US contractors report often being called in to resolve issues on their behalf. One US contractor also told me that feedback provided to supervisors of the new group of contractors did not seem to be making it to the new agents. So right now, basically what they're saying is we are currently in a transitionary period. They've hired the new people in another country, and right now these new hires are not able to complete some of these tasks, and they are relying on the contractors whose last day is at the end of this month. So right now things are kind of held together with duct tape, and these few remaining US based contractors are doing all the hard stuff, and at the end of this month, once they go away, it's just, you're just left with the new guys. You're left with the new hires who've got like a couple of months of experience at best, and all the people that actually could solve the problem, well, they're going to be gone in a week. So good luck everybody who needs help from Nintendo. Here's a quote from one of the contractors. They said, "The training of our replacements by existing agents is something that has never been done with new hires before. New hires were previously brought in large groups and whittled down to the best 3 to 7 agents. While help was always available to new agents, there was always an expectation to see a contact through to the end unless something urgent or sensitive was found, in order to ensure that every agent knew how to do everything. Now we are expected to finish contacts that are deemed too difficult for the new agents." And that makes sense, right? You've called customer support before, and it's frustrating to talk to one person, then they got to transfer you somewhere, and then that person doesn't know what's going on, so they actually have to send you to this department, and then, oh, actually we need to go talk to billing, so let's connect you to billing. And it's like, bro, it's annoying, right? And so as a best practice, it's always nice to be able to call, and the guy that answers is the guy that takes you start to finish, that solves the whole problem, right? But what we're seeing here, what these contractors are saying, is that these new agents are just not able to do that. They're just not good enough, right? They're not good enough to be able to solve all of these problems. The article goes on to say another issue is the language barrier. While the new contract employees speak English, those I spoke to say their skills are often understandably weaker than those of a native speaker. I mean, this is like the easiest thing to believe, right? I mean, you know it, I know it, everyone knows it. I'm not going to make the joke, but you call the support line and you know who picks up. I don't even got to say it. All right, I ain't got to say it. Someone's probably going to put it in the comment section below. Anyway, this has caused a number of communication issues internally, but also has resulted in a noticeable increase in customers becoming irate, belligerent, and even racially abusive towards agents. One person specifically recalled seeing customers using racial slurs towards the new agents on multiple occasions. Hey, yo, hey, y'all are getting out of hand, boys. Don't go that route. Come on now. Y'all are calling Nintendo support and treating them like you would treat a 2009 Call of Duty lobby. Okay, like, let's chill out for a second. All right. They go on to say everyone we spoke to expressed concerns that this change would result in, at least in the immediate term, a noticeable drop in support quality for Nintendo of America customers, especially once the trained US agents were no longer around to support. As they pointed out, this is coming at a time when Nintendo might be keen to have strong customer support, with the Nintendo Switch 2 having just launched and preparing to head into its first holiday season. But instead, Nintendo seems to be prioritizing cost saving. As one former employee put it, quote, "We feel pretty cheated by this whole process. Nintendo just released a highly popular console and they're making plenty of money. Yet the minimum wage in the areas they are hiring from equates to about $1 per hour. They are basically sacrificing the quality of well-trained agents to save a bunch of money, and it's left all of us feeling very vulnerable, crappy. Obviously we knew taking contract jobs that this could happen and there was no guarantee to return after contract breaks, but I personally feel as though Nintendo could have easily hired on a bunch of the contractors as full-time employees and had better results while still saving money from having to use the agencies, which obviously take a cut of their pay. So I guess it made us feel worthless. It's also such a volatile economy to be dumping all of us into. Now, the author of the IGN article does note that the general minimum wage in Brazil is about $245 per month, or approximately $1.53 per hour. Minimum wage in the state of Washington is $16.66 per hour. So Nintendo is taking these employees who allegedly are making around $16 to $17 an hour, and they're replacing them with people who make about $1.50 an hour. So look, it doesn't take a business degree to figure out why Nintendo is doing this, right? They're saving 15 bucks an hour. You add that up over multiple months and like that's thousands and thousands of dollars. But like, can we just be honest for a second? Look at this chart. Look at Nintendo's stock price, boys. In August, they hit their highest price ever of about $25 per share. Now in the last month they're down 8.8%. Ironically, right after their September 12th Nintendo Direct, the price of their stock actually tanked, which is really kind of sad. But Nintendo of America has a market cap of 100 billion US dollars. So you're telling me a company worth 100 billion US dollars can't afford to hire some full-time US support agents? I mean, let's be honest here. This contractor has a great point. Instead of hiring them for 11 months and then having them take off for 2 months, what you could do is hire them full-time directly and not go through this agency, because these agencies do take a cut of the contract. But even still, it's hard to argue with saving $15 an hour, even if it is at the cost of the customer experience. That's you, that's me, okay? Anyone who reaches out to Nintendo support here from America has a chance of reaching out to these less qualified employees. And like, look, nothing against these guys, I'm sure they're trying their best, but like, if there's a language barrier, they have less experience, you're probably gonna have a worse time, at least in the short run, right? And it is kind of shocking because the Switch 2 sold millions of units, Nintendo's got all this money, right? And they're raising the price of everything. They raised the price of the accessories and the amiibos, which I talked about in my last video, check that out if you missed it. So they've got all this cash and they're still treating these contract employers like trash, and the ones that are going to really pay the price are you and I as well, because we're going to have a worse experience contacting support. And you would think that they would want good support, right? Like, hey, I just spent $500 on this brand new console and I ran into an issue transferring my data from my Switch 1 to Switch 2, but great news, I can call Nintendo support and Dave from Iowa answers and he's really helpful and he solves my problem in 5 minutes, right? Like, that's the experience you would want to give a customer in the United States who just bought your really expensive console, right? But no, Nintendo decided, screw that, we're not going to do that. We're going to pay someone in another country who has English as a second language to give them, apparently according to this, suboptimal support. And that's just really like, why are you treating your customers like that, right? Especially the ones that actually went ahead and bought your expensive Switch 2, because lots of people are giving Nintendo some backlash for it, right? So like, what a way to say thanks to your customers who are actually buying your stuff when so much of the gaming industry is laughing at Nintendo right now. There's still a big chunk of people, let's be real, lots of people are still buying Nintendo stuff, and you're kind of rewarding them with a worse support experience. It kind of sucks. But IGN actually reached out to Nintendo about this topic, and here's what Nintendo actually said. This was Nintendo's official statement in regards to this whole thing, okay? While we have nothing to announce about our internal business activities, the claims shared with IGN include inaccurate information. So they're calling these contractors liars, basically. Nintendo's probably like, actually, we let go 206 people, so technically there are inaccuracies in the statement from these contractors. At Nintendo of America, we are extremely thankful to have partnered with several companies and their talented contractors over the years to deliver high quality customer service experiences. We continue to evolve and expand our customer service model with external partners that have deep experience in all the markets we serve across the Americas. This approach allows us to support the full scope of our customer service mission in both North America and our growing Latin American markets, and better scale to seasonal needs for consistent support. As always, our top priority is to provide excellent customer support, and we are pleased that customer satisfaction with the service provided by all of our partners remains positive. So a whole bunch of corporate mumbo jumbo that is basically meaningless, right? Like, this is the cookie cutter corporate jargon. This is the politically correct response. They basically don't directly address literally anything. They just said, hey, we're evolving our support team, and people still think our support is good. They don't directly comment on anything changing from one country to another. None of that stuff. All they said there is inaccurate information. IGN actually asked Nintendo specifically which claims in this article were inaccurate, but the company did not respond. Interesting. Okay. IGN also reached out to the contract agencies mentioned in the sources for this piece. Neither of the agencies responded to their digital inquiries. One didn't answer the phone nor returned my voicemail, and the other answered the phone but was unable to connect me with anyone who could answer my questions. Now, after I read this article, I started to do a little bit of digging. I was curious to know, like, are there any job postings in South America for these specific roles? And I couldn't find much, but I did see this. It was posted 6 months ago by Nintendo, a language QA tester for Brazil who speaks Portuguese, I guess, but this was an entry-level job in Richmond, Washington. So this doesn't sound like what they were actually hiring, but this was the closest thing that I could find for someone who speaks Portuguese or something like that. And I gotta say, you know, I've never had to reach out to Nintendo support, and so I guess the best support that they could give is products and services that are so reliable that you don't even need support to begin with. I mean, that would be the best thing, right? Is you just never need to contact support because everything is just so flawless and so good. But unfortunately, we don't live in that world. Lots of people have to contact support for whatever reason. They've got a bug, an error code, it won't connect to the internet, it might this, that, or the other thing, or there's an unrecognized charge on your account, or whatever the case might be, right? There's a million reasons to contact support. And so I will say that of everything that I've read, and really my sources are mainly just Reddit, right? But from what I've read, people who do have to reach out to Nintendo support typically report that their support team is quite good. So I want to make it very clear here in this video that I'm not bashing Nintendo support, and I'm not bashing Nintendo specifically for what they choose to do with their support team, right? Because if it works, it works. But this kind of falls under the category of, like, if it ain't broke, we're gonna fix it until it is. That's been like Nintendo's slogan for the last 12 months, and like people are kind of getting tired of it. The other thing that I want to mention here is something that I touched on earlier in the video, right? And that is the fact that if we take a look at the tech layoff tracker, this website is called trueup.io/layoffs. What we can see is that as of September 23rd, 2025, there have been over 144,000 people impacted. That's about 545 people per day in 2025, which is insane. And in 2024, there were 238,000 people who were impacted. So tech layoffs in the last 2 years have been skyrocketing. And I will say that if we compare Nintendo's layoffs here, and really these technically aren't even layoffs, they're just letting go of contract employees. But back in July of this year, Microsoft laid off 9,000 people. Back in May, they laid off 6,840 people. Back in January, they laid off 2,280. In April, laid off another 2,000 people. Like every 2-3 months, Microsoft is laying off thousands and thousands of employees, and lots of these people are in the gaming industry, right? As much as it sucks to say. So realistically, when we compare Nintendo's behavior to the rest of the industry, I want to make it very clear here that Nintendo actually is one of the better ones here, shockingly. But I still wanted to talk about this specific story because the whole thing is so bizarre, right? Like, the timing doesn't make any sense. The Switch 2 just came out, they sold a bunch of units. You would expect them to have the best possible support team, at least for the first year of the console's launch, right? They're making all this money, their stock's at an all-time high, and they still let go of 200 contractors that were experienced and then expect them to train their cheaper replacements. It's a slap in the face, and it's actually just so insane. Now, if Nintendo actually releases another statement that more directly addresses this, I will put it in the pinned comment down below. And if you guys see any updates to the story that I miss, make sure to let me know either in the comments or in my Discord or on social media, whatever. All my stuff is linked in the description below. And I know there's going to be people that watch this video or read this story and they're going to be quick to blame these contract employees because they're going to say, hey, like, look, you took contract work and this is one of the risks of getting employed in this manner, and it literally said in your contract an end date. Technically these contracts are temporary by nature, but the truth is that if you've looked for a job at any point in the last better part of a decade or more, then you would know that a lot of the economy is moving towards gig work, right? Or it already is fully shifted towards gig work and contract work and freelance work and things of that nature. So it's really hard to like criticize them for that specific point, because really, like, most places, if you're working a desk job, like, that's a lot of places are doing this, right? This is super common these days, and especially right now it's really hard to find jobs in customer support because AI is taking all of those jobs. I mean, I've reached out to plenty of companies in the last 12 to 18 months where I don't even talk to a person for a majority of the interaction because it's just an automated chat prompt and the AI is smart enough to just do what I need to have done, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's AI for Amazon refunds or returns or whatever. Like, there's just so many places where AI have taken these support jobs. So you can look at this in one of two ways, right? Nintendo got rid of these valuable support jobs in America and it's going to be harder for them to find a new one. Or you could look at it as, hey, at least Nintendo is still hiring people for support jobs. Sure, they may be in another country, but at least it's actual people instead of an AI model, right? Like, I guess that's one silver lining, maybe. Oh my god, that's so awful. And if you made it to the end of this video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it if you enjoyed it. It really does help out small channels like mine a ton. And if you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking that bell to be notified the next time I upload more gaming or tech news. While you're down there, consider using the new free hype feature, which really helps out small channels like this one. And comment down below your thoughts on everything we talked about in this video. But guys, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.